Hello chess fans, this is Rick from Chess to Impress with number 3 in the series The Most Fantastic Chess Moves Ever Played. This one is from the Hoogovens tournament in the Netherlands from 1996. That is the old name of the current Tata Steel tournament. In between it was also called the Chorus tournament. It all depended on the name of the sponsor, and in 1996 the sponsor was the steel company Hoogovens. On the 16th of January 1996, in the third round of the tournament, Vasily Ivanchuk, the inimitable player from Ukraine, played Ivanchuk-Shirov, the brilliant Latvian. Ivanchuk opened d4, d5 by Shirov, c4, c6, knight c3, knight f6, knight f3, e6 were in the semi-Slav, bishop g5, d takes c4, e4, and now black hangs on to his pawn with b5, protecting the pawn on c4, and e5 were in the Botvinnik variation, one of the most complex and deeply analyzed variations in the Slav. It looks like white is winning a piece because that knight is pinned from the bishop to the queen. But black displays h6, kicking the bishop, bishop h4, and then g5, breaking the pin. White keeps the pin by sacrificing a piece himself. Knight takes g5, h takes g5, and bishop takes g5, and the pin has been restored. Knight bd7. And here, one main move is g3. White is not in a hurry to win his piece back. But in this game, Ivanchuk immediately took on f6, winning the piece back. Bishop b7. That bishop is very strong in this variation. g3 and c5. Now bishop b7 is attacking the rook on h1. The only move for white is d5. To interpose on the diagonal, and now it's important that black does not try to kick the knight, which is protecting that pawn, with b4, because then there is bishop takes c4, and if you take the piece on c3, then there is d takes e6, and suddenly the black king is in big trouble. You cannot take the rook on h1 because of checkmate in one move. E takes f7 is checkmate. And taking back on e6 does not work either because of f7 check. And it's check, and also the queen is hanging, so you're going to lose your queen with black. Of course, Shirov knew all this. This all has been played many times before, and the strongest move instead of b4 is queen b6. Bishop g2 from Ivanchuk, and both players castled on opposite sides. Now Shirov played b4, knight went to a4 attacking the queen, queen b5, a3. Ivanchuk wants to open the a file to get to the black king. E takes d5, a takes b4, and c takes b4. Those black pawns look quite dangerous. Again, this has been played many times before. Both players were still in theory. Bishop e3, knight c5, and here Ivanchuk played queen g4 check. Here a king move is possible, king c7 or king b8, but Shirov decides on rook d7 to block the check. Now most chess players will take on c5 as the knight on a4 is hanging, but here Ivanchuk plays a novelty which he found at the board, so it was not home preparation. And it is one of the most fantastic moves ever played. Look at this one. Queen g4 to g7. What is this about? Well, you have to take because the rook in the corner is hanging. So bishop takes g7, f takes g7, hitting the rook, and rook g8. Because the bishop on f8 is gone, white can now win the knight on c5, knight takes c5. And let's have a look at this position. What does white really have for the queen that he sacrificed? He has two pieces. He has a pawn on the 7th rank. He has possible ideas with bishop h3, harassing the king, because the rook on h8 is not there anymore. And it proves to be enough. This queen sacrifice is still playable today. It has not been refuted. And it was found by the genius Ivanchuk at the board in this game. Later it was found that in this position rook takes g7 is the best move. It was played by Shirov himself in 2003, so 7 years later. And it also had the approval of Magnus Carlsen, who played it in 2009. But in this game Shirov played d4. Ivanchuk took on b7, check, rook takes, and knight takes. The threat is now knight d6 with a lovely juicy fork. And Shirov, of course, could have taken a knight, but then there is bishop takes d4 and the g7 pawn stays alive. And also rook takes a7 is coming. So Shirov did not want this, and that's why he played queen b6. He wanted to get that bishop on e3. Ivanchuk took on d4, queen takes, rook fd1, hitting the queen, queen took on b2, knight d6 check, king b8, rook db1 again, harassing the queen, queen took that pawn on g7, rook takes b4 check. It's important that it's check, because otherwise the rook on a1 was gone. King c7. Now two white pieces are hanging, the knight and the rook on a1. But rook a6 deals with those two problems in one go. White has rook and knight for the queen, but it's important to see here that the black king is in big trouble. So you cannot start marching with a dangerous looking c-pawn. If you play c3, you get mated. I'll show you. Rook b7 check, king d8 only move, rook a takes a7, and there's nothing you can think of to prevent the checkmate. If you play c2, there's rook a8 checkmate, and there's nothing you can do against that. So Shirov played rook b8 to deal with that checkmate threat. Rook takes a7 check, king takes knight, and rook takes b8, and now white has full compensation for the queen with the two rooks. Even more than that, white is winning here. Queen g4, rook d8 check, king c6, and rook a1. Here Shirov did not see how he could save the game and resigned, which looks a bit early, but if you analyze the position, then you can see that it's impossible for black to prevent white to double his rooks, to attack the c-pawn. That c-pawn will come off the board, and then white has an easy win by slowly but surely advancing his h-pawn. It's important that the white king is quite safe, protected by pawns, so there are no perpetual checks ideas from the queen. Wonderful game from Ivanchuk with that incredible queen g4 to g7 move, one of the most fantastic moves ever played. It was quite incredible that this game on that day did not receive the prize for best game. It went to another game. Later in the tournament, Ivanchuk refused the 500 guilders best game prize. Some people say it was because he had been angry that he did not get the prize for this game, so he refused it for another game. And another version is that Ivanchuk did not think that his play in the other game was strong enough to deserve the 500 guilders bonus. And I think the latter explanation is more in line with Ivanchuk's character, so that's probably what happened. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe to the Chess to Impress channel, and I'm looking forward to your comments on this game. You also may want to check out my Chess to Progress channel. The link is in the description box. This is Rick from Chess to Impress. Thank you very much for watching.